What's up, Spikes? Welcome back to our Kano Gauntlet wrap-up. I'm Eliot, joined by...
I'm Cayleigh.
And we were the featured guests.
You're a staple, I'm the guest.
Sure.
Yeah.
You were the featured guest on the Kano Gauntlet, the one playing Kano, in fact. We're just going to give you guys a quick rundown on how those games went. I guess if you're, for some reason, watching this one and you haven't seen any of those, we filmed 5 games of Cayleigh playing Kano against 5 of my decks. And there's presumably some kind of something up here or
links
down here. Probably maybe a playlist that you can go check those out. And I would highly suggest you do that before watching this. But if you, for some reason, do just want the quick
discussion,
the spark notes about the situation, I guess here we are. Cayleigh.
Yeah.
I guess before we jump into it, do you have anything you wanted to go over kind of first or anything like that?
So I want to talk a little bit about how Kano generally plays. Because in other of these wrap-up videos, we sort of go game by game, and we will still do that. Talking about how each different matchup needs to be played. But Kano, with the exception of other Kano and Runeblade decks, which we'll get to more of when we talk about Viscera, Kano mostly plays the same way, regardless of what hero's being played. Kano cares mostly about how much Arcane Barrier the opposing player has.
Right.
Because Arcane Barrier 1 or Arcane Barrier 2, Kano can kind of just not worry about it as much because most of our effects are like base 3 plus damage.
Right.
So if our opponent only has Barrier 2, all of our things are probably getting through. At least a little bit, if not a lot.
Yeah.
But at Arcane Barrier 3, things like our red snapbacks, our blue Voltic bolts, can potentially brick on dealing any damage. And so it's watching what equipment the opponent brings changes how we want to be focusing and playing out each hand to each turn to each game. The other thing, generally speaking, about Kano is, and we mentioned it, we chuckled about it a little bit during the games, is Kano always wants to go second.
Which is obviously different than...
Yeah, it can be significantly different than going first. Because in most games, and in most even heroes in this game, you want to be going first because then you get that first player advantage of do stuff and then get a fresh hand. Kano wants to almost always be going second because Kano wants to be preventing what your opponent always does and then getting a fresh hand. Because of that, end of first turn, both players draw back up. And that allows Kano to sort of, okay, just defend or barrier whatever the opponent's doing, get a fresh hand, and then start doing stuff, knowing that when the opponent inevitably has to barrier what you're doing, they don't get that refresh at the end of the second turn. So that's sort of the key aspect. Kano wants second in basically any case for that reason. Also, basically no matchup is Kano ever really changing equipment.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I never changed my equipment loadout throughout all 5 games.
Yeah.
The only change we really want to make is against more Kano. The Mirror is a very interesting matchup where sometimes we'll swap out our Tunic for the Robe of Rapture, which gives us a 4th source of barrier. And depending on if you know kind of what your opponent wants to do, like if you know the kind of Kano player they are, sometimes we'll even bring in Skullcap. You can have up to barrier 7, and with Kano wanting to play anywhere between 17 to 20 blues, you can often pay for that.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 barrier, and maybe still be able to do stuff on your own turn. So those are sort of some notes I wanted to mention before getting into the individual games, just because we may not have as much to specifically describe in those games.
Right, yeah. At the top of things, our first matchup was Kano versus Ira, the ninja hero. I won that one. Ira won that one. It was
very narrowly.
Yeah, I had kind of just a nutso turn. I believe I made a chain link 6 turn attack, ending in find center comboed. Yeah, to make a Zen State token, which ended up clinching the game for me.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're not familiar, we'll put up a Zen State here probably. It prevents damage. It's effectively one arcane barrier being paid for free.
For 2 turns.
For 2 turns.
It's kind of bonkers.
It's nuts.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I was able to chain together just a crazy turn, put you on the back foot, and had that Zen State token in play and sealed it up from there.
Yeah, it was, and I think we even talk about it in the end of that game discussion. We point out that I could have done 9 damage because you were at 9.
Right, I was at 9 and you could deal 9.
Yeah, but Zen State prevented that from being lethal by 1.
Would have been 8.
Yep. So very, very narrow games that will also come from regularly playing Kano. I think easily 70 to 80% of my games, I'm at 3 or less life. When I win.
Yeah, well, especially you on Kano, right? I think probably, I don't know for sure, but probably most of these, and then also a lot of the games that we play.
Yeah.
I usually die in response to trying to kill you.
Yes.
Right? Like you're at 1, 2, 3, something like that, and I'm like, okay, attack you for 6, and you're like, yeah, die instead.
Yeah. You're at 4, you're at 5, and I'm just like, hey, what if I instant speed this Voltic Bolt?
Yeah.
And you just die.
And I die instead.
Yeah.
I guess for the ninja matchup there, I did, like you were saying, with the numbers of Arcane Barrier, I did only bring Arcane Barrier 2 in the ninja matchup. I felt I should still bring Mask of Momentum. I think that card is nutty, just absolute bonkers.
It forces me into situations where, and I think with the exception of 1 turn, I had to block Kodachi.
Right.
Or not Kodachi. Zephyr Needle.
Zephyr Needle, yeah.
Every turn, except for one where I decided to be a little greedy and chose not to because my hand was kind of nuts. Mm-hmm. You attacked with Kodachi, I blocked the Zephyr Needle, and then you got 3 hits after that, which drew you the Fine Center.
Right.
And got your 6 chain link.
Right.
That's what that was.
Yeah.
A chain link of 6 by itself, nuts.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool.
It was great. I didn't like it as the Kano player, but it was great.
Yeah. And yeah, I did then in after the mask, I brought robe and gloves, but I did end up bringing the Snapdragon Scalers instead of a Nullrune boots. That might be incorrect. Again, me no thinky guy. I felt like I kind of wanted to be forcing like a tempo play in that sense. Like I feel like if I'm spending too much time barriering, I feel like I'm probably falling behind. So I kept the Snapdragon Scalers instead of the 3rd piece of barrier to force some damage through, force some interaction on your end. Mm-hmm. And I was only able to make that chain 6 because of those Snapdragon Scalers. So me, big thinky, actually. I'm actually a super genius.
Galaxy brain.
Yeah, so it's absolutely correct. I don't want to hear about it in the comments at all. I'm a genius. That's all I really have to say about Ira, I think.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Dash versus Kano, and Kano won that one. Dash was not victorious. I guess my specific thoughts on kind of the Dash thing, I ended up having Arcane Barrier 4 in this matchup. Viscertronic has 2, and the Achilles Accelerator, the Mechanologist boots, also have 1. And then I brought the Nullrune gloves as well, just in case I felt like I wanted the extra piece, in case I was going to have to activate or not activate, I guess destroy either of the other pieces just to have that extra point. But it didn't end up mattering too much because my rollout that game was supremely awkward.
Yes.
I think I maybe 1, if not 2 turns I got past the first one. And in one of them, I had to pitch 2 red pedal to the metals to play a plasma purifier.
Yep. And it was downhill from there.
Yeah, I think I only got 1 more turn.
The next turn that you died, but it was very shortly after that turn of just basically nothing, and I got to sit with a full grip. To just
Not a
be
winning
like,
proposition.
How about you
for
want to
me.
take some damage?
Yeah.
You want to take some damage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The version or whatever you want to call it of Dash that I'm playing is very like boost aggro. It is 40 Mechanologist cards and a lot of red cards.
Mm-hmm.
So I do struggle in the Wizard matchup anyway. So don't think that was a today kind of thing. Think that one usually does not go my way.
Fair.
Yeah. Any other finishing thoughts on that
No.
matchup? Arcane Barrier 4.
Arcane Barrier 4 did mean that I had to play a little more conservatively.
Right. Like, I guess if you didn't know that it was my like kind of turbo boosting deck, if I don't know if there's some kind of like controlling
there's a mid-range
blitz.
dash.
Right. Like if you think they might be on something like that, would you play like the first couple turns differently or something like that? Or
It's maybe not turn by turn differently, but definitely just sort of play a card for 4 or 5 barrier and then arsenal something to try and set up for a later turn.
right.
Especially with at barrier 4 and above. You don't usually see barrier 5, but sometimes it can happen, especially with like Skullcap.
Yeah.
But you want to very much try to set up the Stir the Aether Winds into Forked Lightning combo. And if you have either one of those pieces, you want to be arsenaling it to maximize drawing the other piece just through odds.
Yeah.
And trying to find that to be able to make that combo work. But sort of kind of knowing your dash list a little bit more and playing against other dash decks, if I don't see a blue in the first 2 turns, they're probably not ever actually paying 4 for barrier.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you maybe did it once. I don't remember exactly.
It might have been the Dash, or it might have been maybe a Rhinar game that is spoilers,
Possibly.
I guess, for the next one. But yeah.
It never really. If I don't see a blue from Dash in the first 8 to 10 cards, they're not playing blues.
Right.
They probably don't have blues. I don't have to worry about barrier 4.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're pitching their entire hand, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
feels
fine.
bad. Feels bad
It's
to
fine.
pay for like barrier with reds and yellows.
Exactly. So the Dash matchup is just sort of the keep an eye out for the first couple turns. If you know they're not on blues, get them.
Get him.
Get 'em.
Love that.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Rhinar on
Rhinar.
the shocking block. I hope he puts me big braining that in.
Elliot's so proud of that.
I was
joke.
really proud of that joke. I thought it was so good. Rhinar did not win.
Did not win, despite an attack for 13 on turn 1 with triple intimidate.
Yeah, I red barraging beatdown, yellow barraging beatdown, and then played another card that discarded a 6 attack from my hand, intimidating 3 of the 4 cards from your opening hand, and declaring an attack for 13. You blocked for 3.
I blocked for 3 with the last card in my hand.
So you went from 15 to 5.
5.
And then killed me anyway.
Yep.
Killed me anyway.
I don't remember the exact sequencing of that
rude
turn,
if
but
you
I'm
ask
pretty sure we
me.
had a Forked Lightning.
I think you could have just let me win.
No, I couldn't let you win. I had to Forked Lightning you.
Yeah,
You were
I think
on the shocking block.
Oh, I was. I set myself up for it and everything. Damn. Yeah, I think that one. I'm not sure if you got it off in any other games, but I'm pretty sure that one you forked me for.
That was, I think, the fork
12?
for 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the fork
was
for
some
12.
obscene
You
amount.
barriered 4, and then took 8, and from there I was able to just sort of block with 1 or 2 cards and just shoot you for maybe a turn or 2, and then get another big hit and kill you.
Yeah, I
On your
think.
turn.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that was another one where I died on my turn.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember. I believe it was that one as well. I had to barrier with a reckless swing,
Yep.
which usually feels good. You know, getting to barrier 3 with like a blue defense reaction because you're never using
Never
it
doing
otherwise.
anything else.
But I think I barriered with my whole hand on one turn to not die.
It was the Forked Lightning for 12, where you had the Reckless Swing and 1 other card to barrier the 4. And then the following turn, I had another, I think, coming in for 8 off like a Scalding Rain or a Voltic Bolt or something, where you had to basically pitch 3 cards to barrier properly.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I tried to go for it on like a Smash Instinct.
Something
but
like that. And then I just
you
responded
and
got
killed
to
me.
go nuts. Kano feels so good when it's our turn.
Our turn. Yeah, she loves our turn.
Our turn. Communal turns.
Communal turns.
But I still get my turn.
Yeah, you get your own turn, but yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem, whatever. Moving on. From Rhinar, the next matchup was Bravo versus Kano, and Bravo did bring it home for the home team. I'm the home team in this scenario.
Yeah, I guess I am the special guest, so I came from, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Guardian, again, kind of not too much to say on this matchup. I brought Arcane Barrier 3, and my deck is like 30 blues or some stupid number. That. So I pitched a lot to Arcane Barrier and attacked back with the hammer mostly. Yep. One interesting thing I'm going to be looking out in the comments of that video and this one, if you want to leave it wherever, I brought Tectonic Plating.
Yes.
In that matchup, which doesn't really do anything, I don't think.
I don't know Guardian well enough to really comment on it.
Right.
But it's, what other equipment would you have instead of that?
Yeah, right. So my thought process was I'm never bringing Crater Fist. It's only ever blocking 3, which isn't useful against Wizard.
Nope.
The other options are like Helm of Eisen's Peak or...
Which the +1 intellect could be handy.
Could be handy on a turn, or like Mage Master's Boots to do something, maybe. I don't
know that you want boots.
Yeah, right? So, I'm looking for advice on that, I guess. If you think I should have brought something else, or Arcane Barrier 4, or something like that.
I don't know that Guardian needs Barrier 4.
Right, so many of your cards are blue.
All the cards in Guardian, like you're playing, like you said, 30 blues. Do you want to be pitching 2 blues to Barrier 4?
To Barrier 4, and then just leaving 2 resources.
And you just have 2 resources that you're kind of wasting?
Yeah, exactly.
That feels a little weird, but also that extra block, or that extra barrier, could mean the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that, I don't know Guardian well enough to comment on. I've never played a game with Guardian.
Yeah, hey, me neither. Am I right?
But it's, just sort of, I have to navigate that barrier level, and actually I think the Bravo match we had very good examples of. You attacked with a Nothos for either 4 or 6. I'd have to block with 2 cards, and then I'd have 2 cards to pitch one, to play the other, pass.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And
just like chipping away.
Sort of,
kind of thing.
Slowly chipping to try and create an advantageous board state or game state to maybe try to get that kill.
Right, where you can force it over the Arcane Barrier 3 or whatever, right? Like you get in for guaranteed damage over the course of the game, and at some point I just can't barrier enough. Like if you pulled off a Fork Lightning for 12 or whatever, right? I think I was dead that game.
Probably.
I was probably at like 8 or something when I died. A little peek behind the curtains here. I do need to tip my hat to Cayleigh. We did have to refilm this Bravo game. Filming's hard. We are getting
been a long day.
Yeah, it was a long day. We filmed a lot of games and a lot of and this, I guess. We've been doing it for quite a while, us at the Spike Feeders, and so we typically don't run into too many mistakes, but when we do, it is a shame. But we had to refilm that Bravo game, and in the first take, Cayleigh just absolutely gave it to me.
We got exactly what I was just describing a moment ago of the block with 2 cards and then pitch this blue to Crucible Voltic Bolt and just get 6 damage in there, which you could then barrier, but we still get that 3 in. And just a couple of turns doing similarly to that and just being able to set up for a better turn. And ultimately, the game that sadly we don't have recorded, I was trying to learn, and I've been sort of practicing this with some games, is pitch stacking, which is when you pitch cards, keeping track of what order you've pitched things in to when you eventually draw back to them, because long games can happen, and Guardian likes to draw the game out, keeping track of what you have next. So there was, in this game that I sadly can't show you, and I'm so sad about it, because I was very proud. I kept track of what exactly the 4 cards that I was going to draw. I knew my next card on top was an Eye of Ophidia. And I was able to play a blue Centering Foresight on your turn to opt that to the bottom, and then activate Kano for a damage spell to kill you.
To kill me, yeah.
Which felt so good.
Yeah, it was
sadly lost.
Yeah, it was absolutely masterfully, like the whole game. Yeah, it was crazy. It's tragic. It's always tragic when we lose a game, but
recording.
Yeah, that one was so good too. And unfortunately, we live in the timeline where the people get to see the game where I won.
Yeah.
But obviously, did want to just let you guys know that happened.
That happened.
And then moving on to our last matchup, Viscera versus Kano. Viscera did take that one home as well. Cayleigh, do you have some choice words for my Viscera deck?
Respect, but dislike Eliot's Viscera list. It is the one matchup where, and Runeblade sort of broadly, is the one matchup that plays differently than basically any other hero because of both the hybridization of attacks and arcane damage, through especially with Viscera with rune chants.
The rune chants are huge.
And Rosetta Thorn, which we'll get to that.
Table that for a second.
It's because with Kano on average, it's you have to balance what I'm blocking with to what I can play back, like that talking about Bravo. But with Viscera, there's an extra layer of it is I have to weigh what do I want to pitch to rune chants to be able to barrier versus what I want to block with, and then still try to keep cards in my hand to be able to do anything. And in that recorded Viscera game, I ended up just not doing much.
Yeah.
Because I had to end up throwing my entire hand at barriering and blocking.
Yeah.
For everything.
In your defense on that one as well, the hands that I drew in that Viscera game were
bonkers.
Nutty. Yeah, like I drew both of my Sonatas and both of them hit for the one arcane. And I think I drew both of my Mordred Tides.
Yep.
And yeah, like just
the Enlightened Strike for 7.
Oh,
the Enlightened Strike for 7 was.
Yeah, I'd like to think that was pretty well played on my sequencing on that one. But going back to the thorn in the
thorn in my side.
I think the matchup could be so interesting, and there's like so many decision points and stuff to learn, and then Rosetta Thorn just kind of throws it out the window. Die instead though.
Everything I was just talking about of the balancing my blocks versus barriers for rune chants, and then it's just like, oh yeah, also go again and Thorn.
Yeah.
And then I'm just taking 4 damage.
Yeah. And especially in Kano.
Yeah.
Well, I guess even a step back from that, especially in Blitz.
Yeah.
For every hero except Kano, right? Like 4 damage.
4 damage.
You only have to get hit 5 times.
Correct.
To die.
Kano's only 4 times.
Kano's only 4 times. Like
it's absolutely nuts.
Rosetta Thorn.
I'm on the side of Rosetta Thorn should maybe be banned in Blitz. It's fine in Classic because 40 life means that the 4 damage is not as impactful.
Right, you have to attack with it 10 times and get through completely.
It's still good, but it's less impactful. But that's maybe a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I guess, that's basically everything. Tell us how you feel about Rosetta Thorn in the comments below as well, I guess. And any kind of final thoughts? I guess I'd just like to thank you for being here.
Of course, happy to be here.
Joining us for the, 7 or 8 or however many videos we filmed today now. I was going to ask you guys to say if you want Cayleigh back on the show, comment it, but don't bother because we're going to.
I like being here.
Yeah, you don't have a say in the matter, really. But if you did enjoy seeing Cayleigh here, let us know. Again, if you didn't enjoy seeing Cayleigh here, shut up. That's not something I care about. Any closing remarks from our fantastic special guest?
Runeblade is just lazy wizard.
Lazy wizard. I believe you called it wizard with commitment issues earlier as well.
Wizard with commitment issues was a joke I think I made between a cut.
Maybe.
Because it's like wizard and it wants to do arcane damage, but it doesn't want to fully commit. Anyway, I'll leave you on that last thought.
Cayleigh, everybody.
Thank you for watching and have a lovely morning, day, evening.
What she said.
Yeah.
Peace.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Spike Feeders on YouTube. Before you close the window, make sure you click subscribe for more great Flesh and Blood content.